Yeah, I'm Ellen Grist, and I am one of three co-founders of At the Well. It's a business that I started with my two sisters back in 2012. So it's been going for 8 years.
Can you tell us a little bit about how the laundrette has changed during the pandemic? What have been the positives/negatives? What new things are you focusing on, and why?
Yeah, so one of the things that we started during the pandemic is firstly we saw on the news that there was a family that were living in a tower block in Easton who had a shared communal laundrette facility within the tower block, but because they were having to sort of self-isolate or certainly shield their family, they didn't feel comfortable using the laundrette space. It's so small, and there was no way you could keep your distance or really keep yourself and your family kind of safe within that environment. So anyway, we saw this reported on the news, and it was in fact my sister, who's in Canada, who she was the one that saw the news article and sent me a message to say, oh, is there anything we could do, anything we could do for that family? And I was like, of course. And so we need to get hold of the, we literally just tweeted the news reporter directly and said, you reported on this family, is there, we're here, we've closed, we've got an empty laundrette, is there anything we can do? So we arranged to, through the BBC reporter, to go in and help that one family. In fact, it was two families in the end, in that tower block, and we arranged to sort of do a whole load of laundry that they'd gathered over months, as a bit of a one-off initially, but thinking actually, it's all very well to help people as a one-off, but what are they going to do longer term? And thinking, actually that there's bound to be that was one family whose story happened to have been reported. There's bound to be, hundreds of families we thought in a similar kind of situation. So we thought, actually, what can we do to make it possible? We could afford to help a couple of families ourselves, but we were like, actually, we need to raise some money if we're going to expand this and support other families at this time. So we set up a crowdfunding campaign, and in fact we were amazed by the response. Like within a week, we'd have £1,000 donated from, largely friends and family, people that we knew. We didn't have to share the link that we'd created very far at all to hit our target. So we're like, oh, fantastic. So we thought, right, now how do we go about actually, working out who these families are that need help? I actually found that was the more tricky bit, having raised the money. But we spoke to the council, Bristol City Council, and they were running I think it's called Bristol Together helpline over the pandemic. So anybody with any kind of issue could phone this helpline and say, I've got a problem with a particular aspect of life caused by the pandemic. And we thought, okay, they put us on effectively on a referral. So if anybody phoned and said, we've got a problem doing laundry, we can't use our laundry facility in our building, or we can't get out of the house, we were sort of on standby to go and collect laundry from them. And in fact, those requests didn't materialise. I don't know whether people weren't phoning and thinking actually they could ask the council for help with laundry, or maybe there weren't as many people that were in that situation as we thought. But the council did come back to us and said, what we know is a real need, and the thing that we're being asked for all the time, is laundry facilities or laundry services for those rough sleepers that we've put up in hotels in the city centre. So they said that's part of it's a national Everyone In campaign, and so they put people up in hotels, but actually they didn't have access. Hotels quite often don't have laundry facilities for guests anyway, and they certainly weren't accessible to people that were staying. So, and all the hotels were able to do was advise that people sort of wash their own laundry sort of in their shower trays or something. It wasn't satisfactory, for anybody. It would have been miserable. So we thought, actually this is something that we could do to help. So over the pandemic, we worked specifically with 3 of the hotels in the city. There were more than that. I think that was approximately half the people that have been housed during this time. And yeah, just set up a sort of a daily kind of schedule of going to these 3 hotels over 4 or 5 days a week, and collecting whatever loads had been handed in to be service washed. And we just collect them, we collect them in the morning, devise a system of labels so that people could say whether they wanted their clothes washed in bio or non-bio powder, or at what temperature they wanted stuff washed and dried. So a series of labels, and collected it in the morning. It was just myself and my colleague here. The laundrette was pretty much empty, so we were able to do sort of about 9 loads a day. We were doing some general business admin at the same time. Had about 9 loads going on in the background most days. Folded it all at the end of the day and took it back. So we did that for several months, 3 months whilst we were closed. And then as we got to July and we were able to reopen a cafe, we had to slightly reduce the capacity of laundry we could take on, because we had to go back to making sure there was machines available for customers that were coming back in. But we've continued, I think, to collect sort of 4 or 5 loads a day from those 3 different hotels, right up until this week. So mid to late September now, and still collecting those from the hotels. So yeah, it's been ongoing, and amazingly, quite a lot of those hotels are now sort of drawing to a close. That Everyone In program is coming to an end, and we've literally just got to the bottom of the pot of money that was donated. So the council came back and said that they would effectively match fund what we put in from the crowdfunder. So between the council and the crowdfunder, we've had the finance to offer the laundry at a discount for that period. So
great, thank you. What's the most common item you see in a service wash? Could you describe it and how to clean it?
I mean, we wash a lot of socks, like hundreds and hundreds of socks. Funny enough, socks are actually, they're obviously not difficult to wash, they're easy to wash, but they're always the thing that come out of the dryer because they're still slightly damp, because people have left them a little bit, you just sling your socks in your dirty clothes bin all sort of scrunched up and all tucked into each other, so they're always the things that come out and you're like, oh, it's actually still not quite dry, and then you end up just putting them back through or pegging them up, and then you have to label them all with people's names. So yes, lots of socks, lots of where we've been able to, we've been folding people's socks, pairing them. There's something quite nice about, it's quite satisfying about pairing socks. So returning socks paired where we can, but odd sock, socks disappear here as they do in your washing machine at home, and you have literally no idea where they can have gone. So we do have quite a collection, but so we have to be super careful and always spin the machine out, spin the dryer out, make sure you catch them. But yeah, the sock monster definitely exists.
So